Hello! Hello, AOS fans!
We are here.
Live
And in
Pete's
your living room.
From
my living room.
Yes.
Hopefully
Right.
everyone can hear us. Do comment
Yeah.
if you can't. I do believe this should all be working.
Patrons, the Discord, I'm monitoring the Discord, and Pete is monitoring whatever that is.
YouTube.
And
VJ
YouTube,
Moore
that's
says he
your-
has 2 live streams going. Who's better than us, eh?
Who's
better?
Not necessarily better, but who's equal to us. Yes.
Right,
I think,
anyway.
with Grand Clash proved there are at least 80 people better than me. No, 78 people better than me.
79.
Was I 80th?
You were 80th,
I was
I think.
80th, you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Although the number keeps going up on people's accounts. So I thought they were 83, then somebody else said they were 84, and then somebody else said they were 86, which means I'm gradually getting slightly less worse.
So in a few more weeks you'll be mid-table.
yeah.
And I'll be practically a finalist. Hello everyone.
Hello.
How many of you we've got out there? We've got 12 people watching
12,
already.
woo.
Mental. That was like a highlight for us.
That is it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, let's crash on then. Let's crash on. We've got some questions from everybody, loads of questions. Thank you very much for your questions. If you do have any more and you're on Discord, do chuck them in there. If you're on YouTube, do chuck them on YouTube. We will try and get around to them as well.
Oh, Dave Hill
Hello to
here.
everyone. Dave Hill, hello. Who else we got online? We've got Anonymous Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Champions.
Champions, yeah.
Champions.
Quiz champions.
Quiz champions, that's
Yeah.
the word I was trying to look for. Quiz, that's the word. The Wigglefish is online. Hello, Wigglefish. Oh, hello.
Wigglefish.
Hello.
Champion Wigglefish.
Champion Wigglefish.
He actually won something proper.
We won a free drink.
We did win a free
How
drink.
much better can you get? I
Yeah,
mean, I
that's
wasted
true.
it on a cup of tea, but
He did, but, yeah,
Never
but well
mind.
done to, I think it was Wigglefish and Aman and possibly Davey, winning this weekend.
we are the pun winners. Anonymous Jeff says you are right.
We are.
So let's crash on with some possibly pun related or not questions.
I'm
so,
sure there'll be some puns. They
Mr.
just
Andrew,
come out.
They just oh, there's another pun. Right, so here we go. Andrew Marlowe, our very lovely supporter, Andrew, one of our Patreons, obviously. He asks his near enough 10 questions. His first one is, what were the best things you took away from the Grand Clash?
I took Pete's phone when he went to the shower. And he still
I took a model from the cabinet. They got rather irate by it, but I still think that Titan was mine.
What was the best thing I took home?
Yes, or took away from it. I think
Took
is
away.
maybe- took away from it. He does.
Oh, I took away from it. Okay. The main thing, and this might come up more than once, but the main thing I took home is play the deck you want to play and not the deck you think you should play.
Yes, and I took away from it. Generally, everybody was brilliant. I don't think I met anybody who I thought, what an arsehole, or anything like really.
No.
So
Absolutely,
there was
that's
nobody,
absolutely,
there was
that's
no one
absolutely right.
really.
That's
Everyone I
absolutely-
spoke to was awesome.
was lovely.
Everyone was great. Anybody who thrashed me was still nice about it. Anybody who
Yeah.
I thrashed, I was hopefully nice too, and they were very gracious. And
I didn't thrash anybody. I didn't get to have that opportunity.
but it was just great, and I would take away from that, if you're worried about going, do it anyway, because you probably won't regret it at all.
No, I have some regrets, but
But that was
I
mostly
don't
because
regret
you
going.
suck.
I don't regret going. Yes, that's basically, I regret sucking.
No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say there. The hot chocolate was worth it, Jeff. It was worth it, the hot chocolate that we won. So the next question he asks is, would you go to another Grand Clash or a local tournament? I think I definitely would. I think I might want to go larger than smaller. I don't know, though. They both got benefits there.
I think the chances of making a local tournament, no, they're not that. I say they're slim. It have to be a weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe I can make it, but I would definitely go to a Grand Clash again. I worry a little bit about the practice regime ahead of it, but I would definitely go to one again and try and do a little bit better.
Mind you, by the time the next lot come out, there'll be some new war bands, there'll be loads
I
of
know.
new cards, the meta will be up in the
I
air,
know.
so I would probably, in that situation, feel less pressured to come up with a decent deck, and I might just take a fun deck to play instead.
Well, I think that's what I would do, or just
Yeah.
play one that I want to play. Like I said, I mean, I didn't really think I'd win, but I didn't think I'd do as badly as I did. And I regret some decisions I made.
But we'll come on to one of the things that we think contribute to that in a little while. And the next question was, do you think that, so Grand Clash or local tournament, I think, oddly, a Grand Clash is almost more likely than a tournament, a local
I
tournament.
actually really liked, and I've talked to a couple of people online when I did my wash-up post. I really like going to the Grand Clash and meeting lots of people, and it's really nice to meet. You get the bigger the tournament, the more people you meet,
Yes.
which is nice. And I like the idea of maybe having a a get together, try and go up a little bit earlier on the Friday.
Oh yeah.
And have a little get together on the Friday.
Meet up in Warmer World on the Friday, and maybe have a little.
Well, just have a chat and meet up, and then everybody can kind of go. We'll all know, more people will know each other on the Saturday.
Yes, it's not that thing where you turn up and there's lots of people just sort of milling around, looking a little confused and worried, and then people just sort of walk up and go, "Hello."
But definitely would do it again. I was very nervous when we were standing in that queue on the stairs. And it was raining outside. We were like right on the edge. Yes. I was very nervous then, but actually we all went into the bar and it kind of all relaxed. Andrew turned up, bought me a coffee.
He did.
Which was the best coffee I've ever drunk, I think.
I did like the fact that I can't remember his name. Works at GW. He's quite often doing the live streams. Nick turned up, stuck his head in the door, and they went, "I'm not going to queue with the plebs." That's not what he said. But it was that kind of look of, "Screw this, I'm not queuing." He went in. Obviously, he went in the tradesman's entrance, and obviously didn't have to queue. Who were? Or whatever they may call that. So we will definitely be going to hopefully another Grand Clash next year. Maybe not at local tournaments.
Yeah, we won't go to the October one.
No, we can't make that one, unfortunately.
But maybe in January.
Do you think that bringing out new cards for a big tournament was a good idea? Well, I mentioned in my wash-up that I thought it was a crap idea.
I think that those cards, it didn't make a massive difference.
How dare you? It's what cost me the game. It's what cost people like me and Anonymous Chef the games.
But I think it's an Anonymous Chef then.
An Anonymous Chef.
But I think it's poor form, and although I don't think it made a massive difference, I think it probably did make some difference, and I just feel that actually you're right. They should be. They shouldn't be allowed. It should be only a month's releases before or something.
I didn't mind the fact that they came out a week before. What I did mind is that people who were there had access to those cards a long time before.
Well, I think that's a whole
different
issue.
subject.
Are we going to talk about that later, or are we going to
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah,
but yes, I had that problem because they were out so late in the day. And a lot of people, especially if people ordered them and their pre-orders were late, or they had problems with the post, or they couldn't get home to get them in time, or anything like that, they could have been absolutely foobarred.
And actually, it's not even thinking about it in more depth. It's not even about the cards that you want to play. It's that you had no chance to play against the cards. There are some cards that like the innate hammer one for curse breakers is very, very faction specific.
Yeah.
But if you've had time
to
play test or sorry, all right, sorry, yes, it is completely faction specific.
Very specific.
But it's faction specific, and actually it could potentially completely change the way those guys play, and the people who are playing against that have had chance to see that card and know how it...
One of our Patreoners, we used it to good effect with unparalleled strike and stuff to get off that pretty awesome combination along with concealed weapon, which was a winner. The problem you have is if your cards don't come out right, and I think your cards hated you in those games, then it can be a bit stilted.
And even it seemed like a really powerful card. Now some cards that seem like really powerful, and actually I'm not sure they're as powerful as we thought. And even that in itself is off-putting. I'm changing my mind as I talk. So actually you kind of think, I need to do something about that card. I need to allow for that card in my plan, because this new card's coming out. Actually, if you've played it for a couple of months, you realise that actually that card doesn't make much difference.
But then I think that just means you've had... I still don't like the fact they came out...
No, so I'm tending to agree with you.
Good.
I was more thinking that it didn't make much difference in what people put in their decks.
Brandon likes the shirt. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I forgot to put mine on.
I messaged him like twice, and he still didn't do it.
Did you do it twice? I only remember once.
At least twice, probably 4 times. David Hill mentions that only the Dreadflame warbands are due out before the next clash, which is true. Andrew Marley says that if he remembers correctly, he forgot to get you any sugar for your coffee, but he was too embarrassed to go back and get it. Now, do you want to tell him the secret?
I actually asked for tea, so I didn't really realise sugar, but I don't have sugar in either. And actually, the coffee was lovely.
It was the most English thing ever.
Yeah.
Robin sitting there going,
the first mouthful was a bit of a shock, but actually it was really good, and I'm actually quite glad I had a coffee in the end.
Probably needed the caffeine, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it really did actually wake me up a little bit.
I do model this very well. Thank you. Brandon's just complimenting me more. I like you, Brandon. Always have. So, no, I don't think either of us like the idea that the new card's coming out. That's close. Next question. Overall, do you think the Power Unbound and expansion is a must-have set? I think so.
Yes.
There are some definite cards that you want in there. More so than the leader pack.
Definitely, much more so than the leader pack. Much more so.
And do you think any of the new Power Unbound cards should be restricted or banned? I think they should restrict the one that enables you to move twice and get a glory, because they restricted the previous one. I think they should restrict that one too.
I assume they restricted it because I've always assumed they restricted Lon Strider because they knew Thingy was coming, and they didn't want to put 2 of the same card. It was quite a powerful card.
Could be.
However, it's really annoying when people score it.
Yes.
So I think they should probably restrict it.
I don't know. I haven't seen enough of the rest of them yet to know if any of them should be banned. And they said in the Q&A.
Sorcerer's Flourish should be restricted.
Yes, definitely. That should definitely be on the bar list straight away. But they did say they had no intention on ever restricting faction-specific cards.
They did say that, which is interesting.
So that the Sigmar's Hammer one is never going to get restricted.
The Curse Breakers didn't perform that well.
No, they didn't. They didn't. And I seem to have a Curse Breaker at specific killy deck, so I didn't sweat them at all.
I think that the meta is supporting that because there's only 3 of them, and actually they're not that hard to kill anymore.
And they only have 1 dice, so you've only got a cleave attack with 2 or 3 dice, and they're actually quite easy. Yeah,
they start
I don't sweat them Curse Breakers. Moloch, on the other hand,
the only games I won were against Curse Breakers.
Do you think? Sorry, next one. If you could design a new board for Underworlds, what would you do, or what would you like to see in the future?
I really should have read these questions again before I came out. If you could design a new board for Underworlds, what would you do?
I'd like to make one that has like I think less a specific board, but I'd like to make like the lethal hexes or blocked hexes movable, or something where you could customize where they go. So there might be 3 hexes, and you can put blocked on one of those type thing, and that becomes part of your objective deployment process. So you might have like 7 blocked hexes on the board, but you can only place blocked hexes on 2 of them, for example. Same with lethals.
Yeah,
something like that would be quite funky.
I saw somebody talking about healing things.
Oh yeah, I
don't think that's a very good idea. It's too powerful, I think. So possibly. I don't know. I mean, if you imagine if you'd just done some damage to Moloch and he stands on it, and it's much more powerful for the big 2+ war, 4+ wound warbands, because they're not so easy to one shot.
That's true.
So they can be hit and damaged.
When you say 4+, you mean what?
4 wounds.
4 or less.
No,
4 wounds or more. Right, sorry.
4 wounds more. So
I thought you meant
no, wounds. So if you hit those, then you're probably not going to kill them.
Yeah.
They've got a chance to heal. Whereas if you've got, say, the Godsworn Hunt, then you get hit, you die. So you can never actually use those.
I do wonder if they should make objectives in the game do more towards something like that. So if you end your movement on them, you get a wound back or something like that, to make people want to play.
I think they do, just kind of moving away from the question slightly, but I think they do need to do something to make objectives great again.
Next one, question from Andrew. Do you think that magic in Underworlds is too powerful or prevalent now? I do think it's... This could be argumentative next. I do think it's a bit on the unbalanced side, especially with Season 1 warbands. And if you've got a Season 2 warband that has a caster, you can very easily, if you go heavy on magic, do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Very early, very quickly as well. I remember reading a report where somebody said that they had a model and they were going to do something with that model, but then their opponent caused like 3 wounds in the power step, and because of that,
I say no. It's been a bit flippant, but I feel like it's not magic that's powerful. It's the people who can wield it maybe are getting. I don't know how to describe it really, because I mean, like, you look at magic. So there are a few warbands like Thedra and the Gits. I don't think you would bother taking magic. It's not worth it. But
it's tricky with Gits because they've got a couple of nice spells.
And Moloch isn't. Obviously hasn't got magic, and neither of the curse, and neither of the profiteers. But I kind of feel that you've got all those little 1 damage spells, and that perhaps that's too powerful. The amount of one damage, especially with Sorcerer's Flourish.
Yeah, I don't like the Sorcerer's Flourish.
It's kind of like, because I mean they're a real pain. Like when I've played Guardians with the Godsworn, I mean, it's a nightmare of fire, because they've got access to an extra one as well, haven't they? Because they've got Pains of Great Lack as well.
Yeah.
And it is just a killer, especially she heals herself when she rolls a crit as well.
So we've got a few questions coming through on YouTube, so we'll quickly address some of them, just so we don't lose them off the top of the screen. So someone's put, why do they make cards to then ban or restrict them? Surely don't make them in the first place. Well, I would agree, Medic 6666. Anyway, I think the reason why is because their playtesters are only so devious, and then it gets released into the general community, and then people are prone to doing that. And the history of GW is long. I can't think of any of the words today, but basically it's pretty prevalent in all GW games and other games as well. I mean, There's the Star Wars game and all that kind of stuff as well, where they've got a long history of banning or restricting certain stuff because people work out, hang on, if I just take 5 of this thing, that's the best combination.
It's an interesting thing about games in general is that people look for ways to break the game and then moan that it's broken. And then moan when Games Workshop change it, and then moan, and then find another way to break the game after they changed it.
Happy.
It's like a vicious circle.
It is, yeah.
But I think, it was an odd card burst of speed because it's a very specific card as well.
Yeah.
There aren't very many warbands it's worth taking.
No, unless you've got. I mean, there are several cards now that enable you to score it. Like you've got Ready for Action, you've got the Potion of Swiftness, which removes your movement token, that kind of thing. So there are more than one way. There is more than one way to score it for a lot of warbands.
But you have to be careful doing that. I know from bitter experience, you have to be careful with having too many cards that rely on other cards.
Yeah, that is true. So I think they do it not intentionally, but they do it just because they can only do so much playtesting, and their playtesters and the people who work there are only so devious, and then people will find that crack, and they will prise it open with a crowbar as much as they can. My more important question on that is, why do they put so much hot garbage in there where you've got like 700 cards which are all just atrocious, and then you've got like 350, 400 cards which are the ones that everyone takes? Somebody essentially asked that question in the Q&A after the Grand Clash, but they didn't really answer. I think it's just mostly because they feel like people might feel a bit cheated if they buy a box with 30 cards in it rather than a box with 60 cards in it, because they'll be like, well, I've only got 30 cards here, this shouldn't be 15 quid or whatever. Frankly, I'll happily pay the same price for less garbage in there, because this. I mean, I've got both the boxes, or both seasons worth in the box upstairs, and it's just massive. And you're always pulling out the same. Yeah, you 40, could 50, almost. 60 cards.
I almost also restructure mine and just put the ones.
And just have the ones at the front that you're always going to take. Yeah. I think I'm going to start doing the same. And then someone said, "Did us gents see the Dreadfane image that popped up over at Fayette 212?" I didn't. What was that?
Is that the
the Dreadfane image?
Yes, we did with the.
You could see the card, and it was basically all attacks this round have an innate hammer,
like a
swordy thing.
Or something like that. Or technical, it had a name.
I just thought that one, which gives you an innate hammer sword. If you use, there's a Reaver special ability which says the next attack counts both hammers and swords as successes. Do you get double? Or Saic with that?
No, probably not.
I reckon so.
You think?
Because it doesn't say or, it's just hammer, sword.
Okay. Maybe.
Well, just 2 successes. It's broken already.
It's 2 successes, maybe.
Yeah, 2 successes off the bat with Sag. Choppy.
Nice.
We did see it, and it did show some interesting stuff on there, so we're looking forward to Dreadfane.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see how those conditions work, although I think they could easily break the game if they haven't been balanced properly.
Yes.
Because innate hammers on curse breakers.
Or
anybody really.
Yeah, that could be quite painful.
Yeah.
And then some said ATC team tournament this weekend mainly had Curse-Breakers, Mulligan, Profiteers. That doesn't surprise me.
No.
Telepads. Oh, Telepads.
Telepads would be interesting. Good, easy to score shortcut.
Yeah. Can't wait to see the next Blackstone Fortress campaign vid. Well, Robin has uploaded it today.
It's going on Patreon this week and
YouTube the following week,
and I've started the next episode as well. So I'm glad you're enjoying
that. And I think the one that's coming up it only has one hero in it, doesn't it?
Not this week's.
Oh, okay. Next week's just has one hero in it, and it was a awesome mission to
highly
play.
Entertaining. Hopefully,
it was brilliant.
Well, I'm really glad that you're enjoying that, because it's not exactly a punt in the dark, but obviously we went down 2 episodes, and always it doesn't get as many views as the Underworld stuff, so it's good to know that people are enjoying it, and we will keep making them while people are enjoying them.
Hopefully, the more we do, the more people will watch them, and maybe is it a length thing? Do you guys see like an hour-long video and think, I'm not doing that, I just can't even be bothered to start that one? Because some people did mention that to us at the Grand Clash. Maybe if we keep things at half an hour, would you guys be happier with half-an-hour chunks, and then we could possibly split things up? Or would it piss you off more if you get to the end of a half-an-hour video and we go, right, and we'll start turn 2 next week? I don't know. We almost want to. I don't know. Yeah, we'll think about that. Think about that. Whether maybe not next week, but maybe like the night after night. I don't know. It's a difficult one. Anonymous Jeff suggests more ways of stopping spells. Yeah, I do like the idea of that one. I think casters need an innate way of being able to counter one spell every phase if they're within a certain range. As suggested on here, like if you're within so many hexes, you should be able to roll and see if you can beat their roll with yours in some way.
They shouldn't be allowed to score Tome of Offering stuff with them either.
No, that's just disgusting.
Dirty, that is.
I wonder if they're releasing cards with different styles of play in mind. There are several similar cards which lend itself to team play. Possibly. That'd be interesting to see. The build of the cards with ideas, the narrative, maybe. Yeah.
Do you think? I'm not sure about that one.
Wargaming for Fun says, hi guys. Hello, Wargaming
Brandon
for Fun.
agrees with it to a point though. Ooh.
Yeah, true. So Dreadframe then looks, that image will be Underworlds with less minis, smaller board and set decks. I don't know if it's smaller boards. I think it's got the same number of hexes on. I'm sure we counted it before.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's only one board.
I think it's one board, but it's the same size butted straight on.
It might have a row missing. I can never remember. I'm sure when I counted it, it had a row missing. But no, but it's not the same thing as the kids one. That's going to be Underworld. I don't know if they've given that a name yet, but that's going to have different artwork and everything.
Yeah. People have said that the longer videos don't bother them so much.
Okay.
So, okay, that's good to know.
Camera match for each video.
And then somebody has said, smaller models, set decks for younger players. I don't know what that kid, the under 10s version of Underworld is. It would be quite nice if they do like a set deck version.
I think it said it would have set decks.
Oh, did it? Oh, there we go. That'd be quite cool. I think I like the idea of that because then you can just pick out the deck. You can sit down with your kid and you can just play through it. And there's not a lot of thinking involved because the one thing I hate doing is trying to work out how to build two decks that are both going to be okay with one set of cards and.
Anybody got their White Dwarf yet this month?
Oh yes.
Subscription arrived today. Oh, I meant to bring it. Sorry, I did forget something else, and I still haven't got any messages in here. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying.
White Dwarf.
White Dwarf. Yes, they've got the new version, which is I can't remember what it's called now, but they've got this.
Oh,
new,
it's like the one-player version.
Well, it's not a six. It's for one with one model. It's 3 to 6 players.
And how many wounds does that model have?
Well, it varies. So the more I don't want to go to the whole mechanics of it, but the lower wound count they have, the more upgrades it starts with.
Oh, I like that.
And then every time it dies,
who have you got? I've got Cedra. Who have you got? I've got Moloch again.
Every time it dies, it comes back immediately on your turn, and then with another upgrade. So the more it dies, the more upgrades it gets.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And you have a little upgrade deck, a little go deck. What I was going to say is, I think it'd be really quite good fun to play with the kids because I don't think there's as much thinking involved.
That's true. That's true.
It's much quicker. So I'm going to try that out. Hopefully over the summer holidays.
You need to come in a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Come closer.
I'm moving off.
Come closer. So, not that close. Okay. So, next question from Andrew. What was the next question? Do you prefer the pace of the new Shadespire rather than the old, being able to score lots of glory rather than just the end of a round? Now, I said before to you that when you used to get your starting hand, the rule of thumb used to be, can you score 2 of these objectives by the end of the round? And if so, that's a good starting hand to keep hold of. Now it feels to me, if you draw your starting hand and you go, are 2 of these instant scores? And if they're not, get rid of them and pick up again. So it really does seem to have cranked the game into a higher gear, and it's made the whole thing a lot faster. It's not unheard of now to come to the end of round 1 and having like 7, 8, 9 glory.
Do you think that's why they did it? That's why they've done it, to make it a bit faster. I think that was a complaint from season 1, that it was too hard. Well, not too hard, but too difficult to score glory. So the game is more interesting once you start to get some upgrades out.
It is a little bit more interesting, that is true. I think some warbands suffer because of that, though.
But what I was going to say, but generally I don't like it. I don't think it rewards.
It doesn't reward as nuanced a play style, I feel. I think it rewards just smashing people.
And they're all most of them are kind of for things that you want to do anyway, or some of them are even things you don't want to do, but it's just so good because you get glory for it that you do it.
And as Andrew's pointed out, having 5 upgrades in your hand to start with isn't quite so bad thing. I mean, I think several of the games at the Grand Clash I picked up my starting hand and I had like 4 upgrades in. I thought, actually, I'm going to keep that because I've got 2 instant scores in that I can score really easily. Use some of those upgrades, which is going to immediately make Scritch more powerful, and I can take someone else out and keep burning through.
Yeah.
So I'm not as much of a fan. I do think they need to do something to limit the number of instant scores you can have. I think they need to put hard cap it somehow.
Yes, I think so, and I also kind of think, and you don't necessarily agree with me this, but I think they ought to cut down on the number of cards that you get for scoring cards. The number of cards you score extra glory for having already scored glory. So
like victory after victory, combination strike.
Because again, it just encourages filling through with kind of almost lazy score immediately, then just chain the glory, which I don't really like.
No, VJ Morse pointed out in here that set decks help people who don't like building decks, and Brandon Husser said, "Oh my God, people don't like building decks," and VJ Morse said that analysis paralysis has stopped him playing because of it, and I think that can be a problem. I would suggest just try picking up
one off the
just a net deck, just net deck, and play with a warband with a net deck for a few times, and that could be actually quite interesting because you suddenly lose all of the. There's no pressure.
No, and I definitely suffered from that. I overanalyzed my deck for the Grand Clash to the point where I ended up just second guessing myself and actually made some terrible mistakes because I was so worried about certain things not happening that I introduced whole new random things that could happen that were far worse.
Yeah.
So I definitely can see that. It's painful for us as well. Sometimes in a week to try and get a new deck out every week.
Yeah, that can be very painful. Mattis has pointed out the problem is not the amount of score meet, is rather how easy they are to score. Well, that could be possibly part of the problem. However, the cards are out there now, and there's not a lot they can do with those. So maybe if they limit the number of them, it will mean people have to start thinking about other things. So maybe I think possibly more things like combination strike and victory after victory should become restricted cards. Possibly, I don't know. Andrew then says, you play cards to score glory, which seems really strange in a match like Change
Davey has said he's getting an invalid response received, but that might just because we haven't started yet.
We definitely have started, Davey. We are online.
We have started.
Which link did you follow in our Patreon post?
You might not be able to hear you.
That's a good point. I don't know what I'm talking to you. You're not online. You just said that. Robert's going to try and send you the link from Patreon, hopefully. But it is on there.
Am I going to do that, am I? Okay.
Andrew reckons a 6 to 8 limit for warning shot is not easy. It is not easy. Andrew can attest to that. And VJ Moore says he's not a fan of math hammer list building. I can't say I am. It can do my head in sometimes. Sometimes I'd rather just get given, and that's one of the things I like about Underworlds, is you get a warband pre-made. You don't have to think about it. You just pick them up and that's it. You're done. Whereas you start to try and build an army list, and that can just be crazy. The last question I think was, are you looking forward to Shadespire Online? Do you think it will benefit the board game? So this is the last one from Andrew. I am very much looking forward to Warhammer Online. I don't know how much I'm going to get to play it. From what I've seen, where they've done the demos on YouTube and stuff, it looks pretty cool. I think it's obviously still in a closed beta or whatever it is, or it's not in beta, it's still in an alpha. They haven't even released it to anybody yet. It does look pretty cool. I do like seeing things like that come alive. I've always loved playing the digital versions of GW games to see the things come alive. Blood Bowl being one of my favourites on that one, and I do.
You do know they're not actually alive, don't you?
They are alive. I do like seeing them come alive in the animation world and all that. I do think they need
all digitally inclined as you. I
still reads books.
I'm looking forward to it less now than I was after having been hammered at the weekend.
Don't want to be hammered online regularly.
No.
But the good thing about it is, if you start to get really smashed like that, you can just rage quit and start a new game.
I don't want to rage quit.
No, I know.
I don't want to rage quit.
But you can finish the game quickly.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to. And that was one thing I did like about the Grand Clash is when you did lose, you can quickly pick up the next game. And
lose again.
So
I think it will be good. I have slightly more reservations about it now, but I think when it comes, I would enjoy it. I'm just worried about fitting it all in with all the amount of stuff going on.
Some people are saying, has the stream dropped? Hopefully everybody's still back on. I mean, we haven't had anything come up saying that it's dropped, so I did notice we dropped down a few people a minute ago, so I'm not really sure what's going on about that. Do apologise.
It seems to be working.
It's some kind of eternal loop feedback system.
It seems to be working.
Hopefully we're back, but keep shouting if it goes wrong again.
Oh, back, okay.
Rage quit, you don't need a table for that. That is true. Table flip over. You can flip the table in TTS, which I quite like. There's a button that literally flips the table and sends everything everywhere.
That's quite funny.
So I am looking forward to it. I think it'll be good. So those are all of Andrew Marlowe's questions. So moving on to Matt. Matt has asked us a few, not quite so many. He has said, the first one is, general feelings about idle speculation for Dreadfane Season 3. We haven't really heard anything about either.
Speculation, no.
Haven't heard anything.
A Nurgle and an Ivaneth Deepkin warband, and some sort of tie-in to Warcry. There's my...
for season 3?
For season 3, there's my idle speculation.
Yeah, could be quite good.
Some sort of...
They really need to do a Nurgle warband.
Yeah, they need to do a Nurgle warband. But I reckon... Didn't somebody say there was like a liony thing, wasn't there? That was they reckon was going to be from...
A liony thing?
A lion. A lion.
Oh, a lion. Yes, there was some kind of lion creature thing. Yeah,
from the realm of light.
Yes, so there will be something
like
that.
And these new chaos guys in the realm of light. So I'm not sure they're going to be connected, but I think
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be a bit of Warcry linked in there somehow. I'm not sure how, but I just feel like they would.
It seems like too good to miss, really.
Yeah,
I think they should. We haven't heard anything about season 3, but we are going to get a thing. Wasn't there meant to be a preview thing at this weekend, or the weekend just gone, when they did
for what?
Warcry for season 3? I'm sure there's meant to be some.
It's Warhammer Fest, not Fest.
It's Warhammer
weekend
this weekend coming up.
Yeah,
so we will hear something at that for season 3.
I'm away, so I'll probably be playing catch up on that.
And do we have enough games for the post-October Brexit Nighthaunt apocalypse?
Davey says he accidentally shuffles and rolls all these minis and boards into TTS occasionally.
Yeah, accidentally select everything and then shuffle and throw it all. Oh God, start again. Do we have enough games? We actually have no more go. We've got 2 games of Hunt versus Mollog to come.
Is that all we've got left?
And that's it. And I'm already halfway through editing the second game. The first one will be coming out this weekend. Patreon only, though, I'm afraid. So we're running shy of... We're getting thin on the ground. And we're not meeting up this Wednesday either.
I've got 3 BSF games to...
Oh, there we go.
And I think there's an old Keyforge game somewhere on my computer.
We may end up having to miss a week.
Yeah.
It depends. Things
We've got a couple of holidays coming up. But Pete and I
bitty.
didn't plan our holidays very well. He basically goes on holiday, comes back the day he comes back. I go on holiday the day after.
Didn't work very well.
But
and then this time round, last Wednesday... Did we play games last Wednesday?
We played BSF.
That's it. We played BSF.
So we've actually
Wednesday.
missed 3 weeks because we had a week where we just practiced, and last week we played BSF.
And then this week we're not meeting together at all.
I've got to go see my mum.
Believe me, he's more sad about that than you are. Contrast paints he also mentions. I haven't used them very much yet, but I quite like the idea of them. You finished the warband recently.
I finished the warband. I just a picture of the Patreon page of that. Actually, I haven't got around to sharing it on social media yet. I didn't have as much free time as I thought I would this afternoon.
Social media is a full-time game.
Yeah. I think they are another tool in the quiver, or something like that, of painting. I'm not sure they're the panacea to painting that Games Workshop tout as. You can't just go, blah, look, it's a brilliantly painted mini.
I think you can go, blah, and you can go look, it's tabletop quality for like mass regular armies. But I think if you've got like small numbers of models, depends what your level of what you want to get done is. Like I've got an entire skeleton army which is all ghost themed, which is just Nihilak Oxide and dry brushed white. So,
but they've got weapons as well, though, haven't you? You painted the weapons.
No, I did it all exactly the same.
I thought tabletop standard was 3 colours, so that wouldn't count.
I think you find that the base is brown,
they wouldn't count,
and they're a bluish white.
Well, yeah, but you could do that anyway, so they're still not the panacea that because you could do that before contrast. But the thing with it is, if you put a dark shade over the top of it, you then can't use any of the light shades. So you have to paint over the bits you want lighter.
Yeah, you've got to work it out in your head to do all of the lighter bits first, and then do the dark.
But that's not how they suggest you do it. They suggest you paint all of it first, the base colour. So if that's dark, you just paint it all blue, and then paint the bits that you don't want blue white again.
I am a staunch non-advocate opponent of having to paint over an area I've already painted with another. Pisses me off.
And I mean, I used to quite like. You can kind of the base coats. You can hide a multitude of sins, so you can just paint back over it when you've gone over the edges. You can't with contrast because you put a light layer on. You just got this. Like I was just doing that. I did an orange and brown once, where the brown had gone over. I did the orange, just as like, I can still see the brown.
Yeah, and they don't. The contrasts, the colours don't. The highlights don't pop as much.
No, they don't. Especially if you use it thick out of the bottle. I actually find it's much better if you use the contrast medium.
Yeah.
I don't know why I squeezed it there. It's because I put it in a stopper bottle because the bottles are shit.
Freaking bottle. Why are they still using them?
They're worse than the old one. They don't even shut properly. They're awful.
Yeah, you gave me a load, and half of them were like
they're
not
awful.
quite shut.
I think I do have some sort of pathological inability to shut paint pots. But
what I want to know is, I don't think anybody in the history of ever has had anything good to say about those pots. At best, people are neutral on them. At worst, people actively hate them, and yet they've still not changed them.
Every time they have one of those survey things, I say, please change the paint pot. I know they don't just listen to me, but it's just, and so I've put the medium in a squeezy bottle, because again, in a pot, the medium is useless, because I need a couple more extra spoons. Oh no, my brush is dirty, so I've got to wash that.
Wash that, then get a couple more, put it on. Wash it a little bit more. Wash it.
So I put that in a squeezy bottle, but it just, and I think you get better highlights if you do that.
Hello, Sam. Sam Wilson's on. He says hello. I say hello.
I did the brown. I did a couple of the trees. I did one. I washed it down 50-50. The other one I did neat, and the brown looks rubbish, and it rubs off.
Yes, someone did mention that as well online. They said it rubs off. So if you do use lots of contrast paint, you really need to give those a good varnish afterwards.
I haven't varnished my elves actually.
VJ Moore says he's transferred his 100 paints to dropper bottles. So
yeah, I can't be arsed.
Well, yeah, there is that problem as well.
I'm a bit cack-handed, so when I tried to do it, I ended up with paint everywhere.
See, I managed to do it.
Whereas I found a really good way of doing it, and I bought Vallejo paint, which already come in them. And to be honest, I can't really tell the difference.
I suspect for the most part, there's probably much of a muchness in it as well. Yeah. I mean, all it is pigment in a so it's probably mostly the same anyway. So those are Matt's questions. Hopefully we have answered all your questions. Warcry, we're going to come on to, but we're sort of getting excited about Warcry. So absolutely something. So on to Matthew Martin. He has asked us a few questions. Now he's asked us quite...
Now Matthew, I feel like you've set us up here to annoy the developers with all these questions. They're very good questions.
They are very good. So he says, playing this first Grand Clash this past weekend has given him brand new perspective. You weren't in the Grand Clash we were at, were you?
No, I think he did the ATC.
Right, yes. Brand new perspective on the game and how to approach it. I played some wonderful and talented opponents from whom I learned a lot. How have you grown in your approach to the game following the Grand Clash experience?
I haven't played since, and I haven't even unpacked my bag since getting back.
It's still in the box.
So that's how. I have to say my performance was so appalling. I'm not sure I actually learned very much about how to play, because I just
learn how to play fast.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're going to come on to that again later, won't we?
Yes.
But I don't think I even got to appreciate the subtleties of people's play, because I was just basically throwing myself under the bus every time.
It did feel a bit like that. It did, yeah. I mean, I did learn that if the game's not going your way, just crash on with it. It doesn't matter if you're doing really badly, because you might actually not do too badly by the end of it, or if you do fairly badly and you get smashed to pieces, there's another game coming up next. So just don't.
I didn't sweat it. I didn't sweat it at the time, but on reflection, I thought, well, actually, I didn't really learn very much. I did play a couple of really interestingly put together decks. So I played a Moloch Tome deck, which was a really interestingly put together deck. And
that was one. He got into the top 16.
He did get the top 16, I think. Yeah, and I think I've never thought, because I don't really think that far out of the box, and it's actually quite an obvious thing to do. In hindsight,
you want to put all your tombs on one person, you might as well put him on one of the most survivable people in the game. Yeah. Someone has also mentioned GW paints, dropper bottles, and wet palettes for the win. I think a wet palette, if you've not done anything, if you're going to do one thing in your painting life, get a wet palette. A DIY wet palette, I just found it made so much difference to me.
I know. I have one and I don't use it.
You've got like a proper one and all, I know. Like a magnet lid and all that stuff. I've got a proper one, and I've actually got, but I don't know why. I do not know why, but I just prefer making it on a palette. I think you need to just take the palette you've got, throw it away.
But I like my palette. I actually really like my palette.
But what's different to that, to your wet palette?
I don't know.
I think it's just. I think you're just stuck in a rut, man.
I don't know.
You need to get out.
You say that, but I'm painting miniatures and you're not.
It's because I'm editing videos all the time.
I'm doing that too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. A regular parchment palette and small amount of dry retarder. I don't know why that message held for review. I think that's held for review because it has the word retarder in it. So you do save wet paint on a wet palette. I agree, it does keep it going for a lot longer. And I've made my own custom wet palette with just some parchment paper and some kitchen roll underneath in the top of a Tupperware lid, because then you can put the base on it and shut it. and the bottom then keeps the paint that's in it safe. So.
I do completely see that, but I found it when I did it, I just come up, it got all a bit watery and bobbly, and I didn't like it as much.
And Brand says, your everlasting wet palette from France is the best, you'll love it.
Okay, I need to break that out. I did actually get it out of the box one day and then didn't use it. Also, if you saw my painting space, I might take a picture of the painting space tomorrow, and you'll understand if there's absolutely no bloody place to put this wet palette, and that might be why.
Now, he has said that some VJ Morph has said sometimes it can thin the paints too much. And I do agree with that as well. I find, at least with what I'm using, and that's because I'm just using parchment, after a while the paints do get too wet.
Right.
If left for too long on there, and they do then become unusable. But they do, especially in like the heat of the minute, I do find that they just last so much longer. I did find them much better
in the summer, yes, last summer, or maybe the summer before. But of course, that isn't a problem with contrast paints. And recently, in the hot weather, I've been painting with contrast paints.
Sam asks what parchment paper do you use? I literally use some of the baking parchment paper from Tesco's, like the brown stuff, baking parchment. That's literally all I use. Or I'm sure everywhere does it, not just Tesco.
Davey on here said he didn't realize his first GC. He was on point, and he says wet palette equals amen. So maybe I need to try this religious experience.
Maybe you do. You may be saying hallelujah. So hopefully, Matthew, that answers your first question about how it changes our approach to the game with our Grand Clash experience. I think the answer is mostly, possibly not a lot, but I definitely think it might help speed us up in our game.
I think I said at the top of the video, the thing I really did take home from it was that I should have played a deck that
you wanted to play rather than one that
I thought I should play.
Yeah.
And we will come on to that. Somebody asked us a question about social contract, which we'll talk about later.
Yes. And then the next question was, there's a lot of concern from the community about how GW intend to keep the cost of entry low for new players. Best option heard so far is to ban universals from Season 1, offering a card pack that gives you all the universals from that season. What are our thoughts on the matter? Keep in mind, banning Season 1 universals would greatly hurt Season 1 warbands, so they can't use a lot of Season 2 magic. Having said that, I still feel they should possibly ban Season 1. I think they need to get rid of Season 1 and bring in Season 3.
I don't have very much
with no real reason to back
experience of how these things are normally done in collectible card games, which is kind of what this situation is.
Kind of, yeah.
So I don't have any experience to draw on. I feel like banning Season 1 isn't the right answer. However, I'm not sure there's a better one, if that makes sense. I don't know. I almost wish that they would just bring out Season 3 without any universals, and then, like you say, maybe add a pack of the old universals.
Do a larger warband specific cards selection, and then
it doesn't even have to be larger. But I mean, true. Like you go back to say about you didn't need so many cards. No, I actually recorded a video about this, and I never cut it in the end. Basically, I almost feel like good games are often ruined by the need to sell more stuff.
Yeah.
Because in some ways where the game is at the moment, it doesn't really need a Season 3, except everybody wants Season 3. And so
Season 3 Warband.
Well, yeah, I know I would like those, but the game is just everybody wants new stuff all the time. And now I've got to monologue this, and I don't necessarily feel that the game position warrants it, because the game is doing really nice. I think it's in a really nice place. In fact, I think it was possibly in a better place with Morag and the Godsworn Hunter just come out, and this kind of need to keep making new stuff means mistakes are made by the developers, and balance becomes harder. So I almost feel like actually everybody should sort of sit back, and I almost feel like actually just some new warbands with
their own warbands
with cards would work. Except of course, if you just come into the game and you wouldn't have any universals to use. So you'd have to do a pack or just repeat them. That would be the other way around. The problem would be just to repeat them. But then you get people moaning that they weren't getting new cards, and they would just buy them. But they wouldn't have to buy them then either. If you don't want to play the warband, don't buy it, which of course isn't the Games Workshop model.
No.
But then that comes down to capitalism ruining what is a really, really good game. And I don't want, just the need to make money shouldn't spoil the game, but I fear that it might.
It possibly will a bit.
Yeah.
I think the hope is just that they can hopefully balance it into Season 3, whatever they do. And it's in all their games. In Warhammer AOS, they've got the new endless spells. And frankly, some of them are ridiculous. I mean, we got one of the new Sylvaneth ones here, which is just, it's just crazy. I mean, look at this. What is this? one of the new endless spells for the Sylvaneth. It's the ever-eating grub.
Yeah, it just basically just eats your way on Monday. On the turn one, it eats through 1 unit. On turn 2, it eats through 2 units. And so on.
By turn 5, it gets very full.
And then it goes to sleep.
And then,
if you can't get it to a 6th game, it just goes to sleep. And then, anyway.
So anyway, enough of that silliness. This is what I use. That. I don't know if you can see that in screen. That's literally what I use. I cut bits of that out, and that's what I use for my wet palette. I don't know if that's the right stuff, but it works for me. So there we go. There was a little bit of hopefully that was helpful for you. And yeah, I'm not sure how they can do it other than banning season 1 and starting season 3.
Somebody's laughing anyway.
BJ Wolf likes the like the everlasting spell. You reckon it's rubbish? I never had a problem with it.
What's that?
The baking paper, using the baking paper.
Oh, I see.
Stuff. I never had a problem with it. Strange.
You haven't got upside down?
Is there an upside down?
Yeah, I think it's only permeable in one direction.
Oh, well, maybe that's it.
I don't know.
Who knows? It does turn into a butterfly by the end of the game, flies off. And then your opponent gets the victory points for killing it. So, yeah, I think the answer is we don't really know how they can fix the whole Season 1, Season 2 sort of side of things. I feel they just need to release more warband specific cards and less generic cards. Bearing in mind, the entry level for this game is still pretty low with regard to GW games in the grand scheme of things.
I'm not sure it is now.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure it is. I think they do have to do something about it, because anybody who hears about this great game and comes and looks and thinks, you've got to buy all of those, but I only want to play these guys. Why do I have to buy all of those?
Oh, you don't have to.
No, I think again also that is Games Workshop almost need to decide whether they.
Oh, the wife's back from the pub. The anonymous Jeff must say goodbye. Goodbye, anonymous Jeff.
Bye, Jeff. Whether they want. What was I going to say? Jeff, you've lost me thread. Do they want it to be super competitive, or do they want people to have fun with it?
I suspect.
And they're kind of like, I think you obviously you can just pick up 1 or 2 warbands if you just want to have fun with it. Except you can't, because the guy you end up going to the club with doesn't play.
We'll have them all, and he'll smash you every time.
Yeah, so I think it's a difficult balance, but I guess that's the same for most collectible card games, is it?
I think so. I think unless you're playing the same way as everybody else, you will be disadvantaged. Just like with AOS or 40k, if you only buy a themed army because you like these certain models and you build a certain way, you're going to come up against someone who's built just an uber army designed to destroy everybody, and you're just going to lose every time.
But you can only have so many cards. At the end of the day, you can only really have 32 cards, or maybe
Bezzy82 asks, is this going to be available on our regular YouTube channel? Yes, it will be live on here after, or probably tomorrow or something like that, but it will be on here later on if you have to dip out and come back later.
Yeah, you can only have so many cards, 32, 34, 36 at the most, I think, cards. Therefore, there must come a point where there are more than 36 really good ones, and therefore maybe it's okay. Maybe it doesn't matter that Ready for Action is in Season 1, because there are some equally good cards coming out.
Ready for Action,
maybe they look at Ready for Action and just say, okay, we're going to ban that because it isn't accessible to anybody joining the game, and but we're going to keep the other ones, because some of the other ones, because they do balance.
Possibly. VJ Morph has also then pointed out maybe the reason GW put the full res images on there so people can print them out and sleeve them for social games, and that's something I always suggest to people whenever people are new in the hobby and they say I don't know what ones to buy. I nearly always say just print them out, stick them in sleeves, play against your mates with them. No one's going to know any different.
How many people do that?
No difference. I have literally no idea.
No,
none.
We don't do it because we buy them. I don't know why do we buy them.
I think we play some games with them at some point. We might record them.
Yeah. We don't. But nobody sees the cards.
No, we don't. But we generally buy.
So we could just photocopy that a lot.
But we generally buy one of each warband each.
That's true.
So there is that. Not that we play mirror matches either. So we don't really need to. But
well,
it's mostly because we are not organised enough to print them out in the right size, cut them out, and put them in sleeves.
Yeah, that's true. That's a time.
That's
a time suck.
Yes. So VJ Moore says he does. So I think it's a good way of doing it.
Somebody said I had a question and it's gone. Somebody said about needing a steady drip.
Steady drip.
He did. Okay. Davey thinks the game does need a steady drip of changes to avoid stale meta. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
However, as we were saying at the Grand Clash, they could change their FAQ errata on some cards, and they wouldn't even need to be banned in that instance.
No.
And they could probably unban some cards now, and no one would care. Like, no one's going to take Great Concussion now, I don't think. I just don't think it's that game-breaking anymore.
So it's an interesting way. It does need it. I think you're right, Davey. It is interesting when new cards come out. However, I don't know. I think there's a risk that it becomes change for change's sake, which I'm never a fan of.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the risk that you run. The next question was, having played... no, we did that one already. So the last one in the list is... I'm just making sure I haven't skipped one. Oh no, having played in the Grand Clash in the past weekend, it's very clear that the Shadespire warbands are inferior to the Nightfall warbands in a high-level competitive setting. Do you think this trend will continue into Season 3? And do you think there is... this is in line with GW's interest in making the ultimate competitive game? I think it's more by... just that general level of power creep, which is the continual strive to make things better, just creates better warbands than the older ones.
It's inevitable, isn't it? Because people want to look at it and go, oh, that's really good, I want that.
No one wants to look at an undead warband and go, oh, they're shitter than Sepulchral Guard.
No.
Because they won't pick them up. They want to make them better every time.
And that's true across... Well, my kids play Pokemon, so I've seen it there. They don't play. They spend a fortune on cards. I've seen it there. You've got these type of Pokemon where you need a slightly special one, then you need special plus, and then you need special plus plus, and it's kind of a bit like that, I think.
Yeah, it is a bit.
But I don't think they gave no hope at the Grand Clash where they had a FAQ session. They had a question and answer session at the end, and they gave no hope for the Shadespire.
Yeah. Ed's online.
Ed. They gave no hope for the Shadespire warbands, did they really?
No,
they haven't ruled them out. They don't want them to go. They said, but they've got no players to bring out cards. But they might in the future.
And they did validate it in that, if you turn around to your boss and said, hey, how about I spend 6 months not producing anything new? They're going to go, how about you spend 6 months producing something new we can sell instead? It's always going to be the way.
Yeah, which kind of comes back to that.
Making stuff
you've got a really good game. I mean, nobody's made much money out of chess. I won't come back to chess. I mean, I've got new nice boards, I suppose. But
what about that Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, okay, nice board, I suppose. So that's not. But the rules haven't changed. Nobody's added on extra packs.
This is true.
Or board expansions, and it just works as a really
third faction, all queens. There we go. Yeah, this is better than the all king deck.
And that game works. It's proven to work, but that's not business. So
no. And Brandon says that he thinks that the community wants Season 1 warbands to be competitive. I think a lot of the community does. However, I don't think GW cares so much because if they bring out a new Season 3 set of warbands that are better than Season 2's, they'll just sell more.
Yeah.
They have demonstrated being responsive to the community. However, have they ever done it in a way that has meant that they wouldn't make more money? I doubt that.
No.
I suspect that what they'll do is they'll say, hey, we know you loved your Skaven from Season 1, and we know you loved your Oryx from Season 1. So what we've done in Season 3 is we've got some new Oryx and some new Skaven.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's kind of what Andrew's just said there. Just redo the original box set, change the fighter cards, add the new boards. I think it'll be just.
I think they'll do whole new models and everything.
Garrick Plus.
You'll have your Skaven warband. It'll have a Storm Fiend in it, which is like the Rat Ogres with machine guns and stuff like that. Because it'll be like.
Or just
the next thing up.
Was it Clan Eshin that could just poison you from across
the side of the board? Yeah. There'll be something like that.
Or Garrick's Reavers where Sayek has killed Garrick and gone Uber. Sayek's Reavers.
It's just like a demon prince now.
Just like there's an ode to Targor, like it's just he's attached to Sayek's like by a chain, just his head, or something like that. Pretty cool, isn't it? There you go.
And Brandon's saying that I'm making him sad. I'm sorry, Brandon. I mean, I love my Skaven and my Sepulchral Guard and my Reavers, but I just feel like none of them are going to have particularly long left in the game. It's part of the reason why I took Skaven to the Grand Clash as well, because I've always loved Skaven and all that. And you taught me how to take a Sepulchral Guard, which is probably wise. And the only other warband I was thinking of taking were Reavers. And I kind of wish I'd taken Reavers because I played the next day with them and I scored more glory in that game than I did in any of my Skaven games.
Oh, VJ said, Storm Fiends and Underworlds, bring it on.
You see, just the thought of that is much more exciting, right? And I think that's what they'll do. Yeah. I think they'll just bring out new warbands that will be bigger and better.
I think they very rarely bring out stuff
with
no miniature support.
No, exactly.
So then they are, even though they have moved away from that slightly, they are still very much foremost a miniatures company.
As they pointed out in the Q&A, they get all of their models for the season up front.
Yeah.
No rules, no nothing.
No.
Just here's a whole bunch of models. Make up rules, make up backgrounds, make up.
But again, so
all
it's driven by that. So again, that
Yes.
doesn't give the time to make Shadespire warband stuff, because they're basically been given another 8 warbands to make rules up for.
Andrew says it would be ironic if they made Ardwolf made it into the second version of the Reavers. He is shit. I don't know. I think I've had. Oh no, it's not Arnulf. It's Targor. Targor Fuel Slayer.
Like 40k, but no rulers.
Yeah, just be machine guns everywhere. It would be a bit like that. So yeah, I think that season 1 warbands are worse, and I don't think it's going to improve. I think season 3 will just be better than 2. Maybe not a massive leap, but they'll be better. And season 1 will fall further
3
behind.
dodge.
3 dodge, 3 shields.
Yeah, by season 4, just be crazy.
Just be 17 dodge. Do you remember in the first game you only got 3 dodge dice in the box? Now I've got 40. In regards to specific cards, do you think Crown of Avarice was wrongly FAQ'd? The card says the reaction window is during the FAQ, says it is after. If the current FAQ stands, this card is broken in my opinion. Your thoughts? Also, what do you think the ruling will be on upper hand? Okay, so upper hand, they did clarify at the tournament that if neither party has successes, that's a draw.
Yeah, somebody else said that here somewhere.
And it does mean that you end up in the situation where you roll a dice and you then have to sit there and say to your opponent, can you roll your dice please? And they're like, but you didn't roll any hits. And you're like, yeah, I know.
Sorry, I missed a thing from Davey.
Oh.
Davey said he thinks there's a distinction between top level player and less invested player. I think I could play season 1 warbands locally and compete. From a grand clash, I'll lean heavily towards season 2. I totally agree with that.
Right.
Totally
if you want to play seriously in the grand clash, you're going to have to go for what is better, effectively. But if you just like playing games like we do, we're still going to crack out the season 1 warbands quite often.
Got Fast Riders versus.
Fast Riders versus Profiteers will be our next match.
Everybody wants us to play Oryx.
Oryx versus Profiteers as well, I think, at some point. I think someone suggested, we enjoy playing them. However, we do want to play what people want to see. So if people want to see more season 2, then we'll play more season 2. So the ruling on upper hand is yes, if both parties roll no successes, that is a tie. They did clarify that at the Grand Clash.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with it as a ruling. I mean, I think on one level it makes complete sense.
Because you have rolled an equal amount of successes, which is 0.
But it does make the card very powerful, because when you failed...
I still don't know if I'm going to take it very often, to be honest.
When you failed, I think you probably failed quite a lot, and therefore completely, and therefore that is quite powerful. Especially if you're fighting against like one.
It's only one attack though, isn't it?
I know, but it's still. If you're fighting Monog, say, and you miss, and Monog is likely to fail his defense.
It's a bit like that other card where you can both players roll a dice, and whoever wins the dice roll chooses whether the attack's a success or not. No one goes on about that one being massively OP. Maybe it's just because everyone's forgotten about it. But, I mean, that's just basically a 50-50 roll-off to see, will my attack succeed?
I think it's different, but I can't quite put my finger on why.
I think it's different because I'm right and you're wrong.
But I think it has a problem if you navigate it the other way, which is that... Sorry, no, I've got that around the wrong way. So I think it makes sense the way it's written that it will work when it's a draw, but if you say that it doesn't, try again. You can't cut this.
See how much I have to cut.
Yeah, but if you say that and you say it works if it's a draw, if you get that silly situation where you roll the attack dice, you've missed, and then you say, but I really need you to roll your defense dice. And so either you get into a situation where everybody's rolling the defense dice all the time, which is a bit daft, or you just have to give away you've got upper hand. But maybe that's okay, because at the end of the day, it's just one card, and some people don't even think it's that powerful. And
I think there's so many other cards I'd rather have over
maybe
that
the
card.
Power of being able to use it in that situation is... Because the drawback is that you have to reveal you've got it.
Not only that, if you happen to be lucky, you may never get a chance to use it as well. If you keep rolling just one success and your opponent keeps rolling no successes.
Yeah, but imagine a situation, where you roll 10 attack dice and only got one bloody crit, and then your defender rolled 2 and gets a crit. You actually the attack would have been successful, and you could have gone home happy.
I think
and
statistically,
not cried in the corner.
I think statistically it's impossible, and would never happen to anyone ever.
Right, fair enough.
Yes, in that situation, you could then at least go, "Screw you! I've got the card." VJ Morph does say, pending us digging it, might we see Warcry battle reports? Well, that's literally what we've been talking about all day.
Yeah.
all day.
Who said that? Who said that?
VJ Morse, it's right at the top there.
Oh, yeah.
Warcry bat rips from Avarice. We have been talking about that all day. We will come on to that one.
We have a
shortly,
big question
going to get through. Yes, we do.
And
we do.
anybody else watching, not just.
And anyone else watching as well. Team Arnulf for life. People arguing who's shitter, Arnulf or Turosh. They are all shit.
We've got a comment there from Jess Corkins.
Jess, yes, hello Jess.
This is David's wife.
Yes. And Andrew says that, funny enough, the Godsworn player asked him to roll his defence dice even when he missed. And I asked why, and he just said that I needed to, so I did.
That's it. I mean, you can now, if they rule it that way, you can totally mess with your opponent's head.
Yeah.
Can you roll those defence dice, please? Can you roll those defence dice? But like me, I do that twice, and then I'd be bored.
And then pick your cards from and go, no, I don't want to. Andrew says, with your rolling Pete, I think you should take uphanded every deck. Well, maybe I should actually.
I think it's a great card.
The trouble is, I don't draw. I just lose every time. It's not that it's a tie. It's just, I missed everything. Oh look, you've got 2 crits.
26 people watching.
26
that might be a
watching.
new record.
This could be a new record, and I'm loving it.
I should totally have done this last week when I was feeling a bit flat.
Yeah. Well, I'm not feeling flat today. I'm feeling pretty. I was gone down 25 now. You've hexed it.
Bye, Davy's wife.
Bye, Davy's wife. But then Davy would have come in, so you know.
Oh, okay.
So, how are we doing on the questions? So, I think that was all of Matthew Martin's questions. I do agree with the Crown of Avarice. I do think it's a stupid ruling. I think you should play it because it's a reaction.
Avarice, sorry.
Crown of Avarice.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't think that was a stupid one. I don't mind the rule of Crown of Avarice ruling.
Stupid.
I think it's because the wording on the card.
Disagreeing with each other tonight.
It makes sense. I don't want to. It makes sense in that it's a reaction to somebody getting killed. That means they've been killed and the person's taken the glory, and then the reaction kicks in. But I think because the wording's on the cards, it doesn't make sense in the way they put it.
It doesn't make sense. It's a much more interesting card as well if you can only take unspent glory.
But at the same time, most of the time, it's only ever going to come into power once. Unless you've got like Skaven or Undead.
Yeah, I suppose so. But it's just a more interesting card because you've got to balance it. Whereas actually, basically, if you're playing a warband that likes to score martyred, it's a no-brainer to have it in your deck because it's basically when you kill that person, you're going to get the glory.
Doesn't it have to be an attack though that kills them? Let me just check this.
I think it might.
Let me just check this.
I think it might.
Avarice. So the Crown of Avarice. Oh, it's not in the flipping. It's not a card that we can download yet because GW haven't updated their flipping library.
The text will still be on UDB though.
It will be. It will be. Let me load up.
Talk amongst yourselves. While it's doing that, I have a shout out for for Brandon's son, who played like a boss this weekend. Apparently, Davey tells me that he punched way above his weight class. So well done.
Was he boxing or?
Yes, he was
Well
boxing.
Which
Playing a bunch of underballs clash. Probably quite a good chance. So well done. Apparently you were awesome. So that's a good shout.
Now there was
I know Brandon often talks about watching these with his son. So he's watching now.
There was a young boy who was at the Grand Clash. Yeah. I would love to have played against him. However, I think he was too good. And he was way above me in the table.
I saw him playing his first game against Michael.
I sat next to him several times when he was playing people. And I thought he played...
Davey said he punched him right in the teeth.
So the Crown of Avarice says reaction during an attack action.
Or a gambit.
So yes, I do think it's stupid, the ruling, because it says during. Yeah, and you haven't got the glory yet, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And it is an attack action or gambit. However, that doesn't mean lethal hexes. So you want to try and use lethal hexes to do your opponent over.
A bit like Last Chance is good for the old
but I do think overall, it mostly only ever kicks in once. So, is it that big a deal?
It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I think that's really the end
with
of
the
day.
wording. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And if they wanted to go that way, basically, is that if you kill this fighter, you get the you still get the glory. It doesn't need to.
When this opponent dies, take the glory your opponent earned for the death. The only problem with that is in multiplayer games you don't get a glory because it's only in one-on-ones that you always get a glory.
That's true.
So it's possibly been worded.
Somebody kills you though, you get the glory. It's not when this opponent dies, is it? It's when it's taken out of action with a gambit or a thingy.
So that will be, it will be whoever
somebody will score a glory. So you're right. The wording is rubbish and the ruling is rubbish, and that it's a bit frustrating. It's almost like the intern does the FAQ sometimes.
It is a bit. some of their FAQs make no sense
I think we've
at
talked
all.
about that before.
We have several
but
times
I think
in the past.
It is frustrating.
And I don't know if any of the people who do the FAQs are watching this. Highly unlikely, I know.
But are you an intern?
But but overall, I'd love to know what the logic is for some of those, like the one for extreme flank, the one for time trap, time trap, things like that. It's just, they make no sense to me anyway. If you want to work like that, the errata, then not FAQ. Yes, I agree. So hopefully that answers all your questions. And then we have one more question.
A few more comments there, I think. Sorry.
Oh, okay. We'll go back to the comments. No, I think we've covered everything so far.
Well, Andrew made the point that if they've only got one defense dice, and if you roll a crit, you automatically hit.
That is true. Yes.
Good. And I like Crown better if it doesn't steal the glory for a kill.
True.
Yes, yeah. Creates interesting counterplay. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you, Davey.
Possibly. We're up to 27 viewers now.
Davey knows. He's won Grand Clash. I think it was you, Davey, wasn't it? It only said Davey. And I get my blog muddled up. I get my what the hex and my hex.
Steel City.
No. The Amans is
hexes and warbands,
and then David's is what the hex. I get them confused. Sorry.
Too many hexes. We were going to call ours Hex Appeal at one point, but we realised that would be just lies. So we couldn't even pun it. Just wasn't punnable. No one would believe
Hex
it.
in the City, I wanted to call it.
Hex in the City.
But it has been taken now, I think.
I still think that ours is going to be better because once we get older, we can just call ourselves the Agents of Sigmar.
Agents of Sigmar, yes.
So hopefully those are all the questions answered. If you do have more, do post them and we will try and answer them. We do have one more question.
We do have one more question, and we're going to talk about warcry.
An anonymous person. So this was an anonymous question we had. We do have endless hex appeal. I like that one. Thank you, Davey. Endless hex appeal. Not according to my wife. So we got asked a question recently about social contracts between players and when you should be trying to ensure that both players get the most from a game. They were in a tournament where they'd effectively, each person was going to win a round. They should have gone to like a decider kind of thing. The opponent played slowly. Whether that's deliberately or not, I don't know. I think the insinuation here was they did play slowly, meant that it ended up costing them the match because of the glory difference. They didn't get into the next round because of that. They would have rather had the chance to play faster, lose the third game, and lose legitimately, rather than have their opponents slow play them. Now, it does say in the rules for Grand Clashes that if you suspect your opponent is playing slowly deliberately, then you should say something and you should report them. You know,
it's quite hard though. It's quite confrontational.
It is a very confrontational thing to look at someone and go, "Sir, he's playing really slowly."
Most of us are non-confrontational people.
We are.
I think that's why we play war games.
Either because we want to just be nice,
not boxing,
or either because we want to be nice, or because we're incredibly socially inept.
Yeah. So
either way, there's that it's very unlikely that you're going to want to turn around to someone and say, "You're playing like an arsehole. Stop doing it." It's very unlikely.
And Brandon.
Everyone's just getting on.
So
in the
just saying how nice they are.
We all love this. We love this stuff. So, I think that this kind of game, and it's not just Underworlds, it's the hobby in general. If you're playing against somebody, and it's not even just in this hobby really, it's anything which involves the cooperation of two parties to enjoy something, you enter into a social contract, which is that unspoken rule of saying, okay, what we're doing now is competitive, whether it's chess, Underworlds, tennis, whatever. But you're saying, okay, we're going to be competitive, we're both going to try hard, but I'm not going to be an arsehole about it. I mean, obviously that didn't work for, what was that tennis player? You cannot be serious.
John McEnroe.
Yeah, obviously he was an arsehole as well, but he won games as for However,
I think he was just heavily invested.
I think he was. Yeah, literally and figuratively. So monetarily and fiscally and yes. And Andrew says that he was tempted to say that his last player in the Grand Clash was slow playing, but couldn't make the Sunday. So what's the point? There is that true, and it does kind of make you look a bit like a dick when you go, stop doing this. You're really. But at the same time, so you enter into a social contract with somebody else to agree. Okay, we're both going to play this. We're both going to have fun. Neither of us are going to try and be dicks about this. And if the other person does start to be a dick, it does ruin your enjoyment of it.
It does. I mean, I was so worried about playing slowly. I think that's what I was most stressed about.
Robin has a small history of sitting there sometimes for extended periods doing nothing, and I sometimes wonder if he's just had a stroke.
You should be so lucky.
There's a lot of editing on occasions.
But I haven't done that for a while, I think.
No, you
But I
haven't,
was so
actually.
worried about it. I think that's what I was most stressed about, is being called up for being slow or just not being able to make a decision, because sometimes I can't make decisions. But I think it actually contributed to my capitulation at the Grand Clash, because I just basically went, right, I'm going to charge. What are you going to do this time? I'm going to charge. What are you going to do this time? I'm going to charge. And I actually think
Everyone's dead. You can't charge.
Actually thinking about whether maybe I should do something different. And then I did that game after game after game because I was so worried about being slow. Now that is to say that I shouldn't have done that. But I should have thought about it more. But I think I was so worried about that, about not holding up my social contract, end of the social contract. I possibly even made the experience worse for my opponent as well, because I probably won a better game than the ones I was offering.
Brandon asking if it was to do with the ATC Grand Clash. I don't think it was. I think it was a more generic, minor local tournament. So I don't think it was that one. And it has been commented here that sometimes people enter too much into the think tank and do nothing for 4 to 5 minutes. I mean, when we're recording games, we do sometimes sit there for extended periods of time thinking. I don't think during the Grand Clash either of us did that.
No, my final game was long. We wouldn't have had time for the 2 games. Well, I lost 2-0. We wouldn't have had time for a third game. But there was 2 reasons. One is I think we played a lot of games already that day, so I think we both just slowed down. But also I was playing a Nighthawks deck, and it had objectives. Which is the only one I played all day.
I hate objectives.
And I think that contributed to it being slower. And it's kind of another reason why the game favours aggressive play and these score immediately cards, because it makes the game quicker, so you can get through your games quicker. I think it's a bit of a shame, because I think the game is more interesting when people are a bit more thoughtful about their movement. And
there was a game we played a while ago where I think I lost Scritch in the first round, and I used a 2 or 3 card combination at the end of the first round to score a double objective thing by bringing someone back and then doing a swap and stuff like that. And that was so much more rewarding.
There is nothing better than that. There was a game probably over a year ago now when I was playing Fuel. I was going to score Supremacy, and you played Great Concussion, knocked them all off, and I kept the cards to get them all back on, and I put them all back on and scored Supremacy and inspired them. Yes. And that's probably the best moment I've had.
I feel so much more smug when you do something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you use 2 or 3 cards to manoeuvre people and get a Supremacy or whatever. That is so much more rewarding to me than just, right, I've charged them in, I've got like 30 dice because I've used all these upgrades.
I've gone through that, I've got calculated risk, and now I scored a crit, and so I've got what armour, or I missed, so I've scored the other.
I just find that so much more interesting when you do, but the problem is there's so much less rewarding in terms of the game score that people just don't do that now. And as we discussed before, offensive warbands are key offsets to objective playing warbands, because nothing's more effective at stopping an objective based warband than knocking them off the objectives, and you score points for killing people and stuff at the same time. So GW did mention at the Q&A as well that they were trying to get that interplay between sort of hybrid warbands, objective warbands, offensive warbands, and that you've got like the rock paper scissors thing where one beats the other, but that one could beat the next one and that one could beat the next one. But I think at the minute they've just got offensive beats objectives.
Well, he said, and I can
beats hybrid.
It's really hard to write control cards.
Yes,
I can really see that. Well, I don't even know how you do it.
I think you just come up with things like you say, what do you want to stop offensive warbands doing? Well, you want them to stop them hitting you, so you have to start implementing things which is limiting them. I don't know. Yeah, it is probably a lot harder.
There's a little discussion going on over there.
There's a discussion going on. We're just reading this. See what's going on.
I could just see my hands going around like this. I can tell you what. I'm going to do it again in a minute. Oh, it's your hands, not mine.
There are people watching this like, do something, you bunch of cretins.
Yeah.
And I think the social contract side of it, back to that question, it is awkward when you enter into that situation and you have people that you're playing against and they tend to arseholes one way or the other. Now, there's multiple kinds of arseholes. You can have the ones that deliberately slow play the game, that they know that they've just got to play really slowly and they're going to beat you. You have the people who start to lose their dice rolls and they start to get really, really pissed off with their dice. And they might not do anything directly to you, but they do that thing where they pick up their dice, they slam them down, they're like, fucking dice.
Oh! I think after my game against Tom, so was it Tom? Yeah, against the Profiteers, I think I've cured any fear I had of reacting badly to bad dice. It's like, I missed. Okay.
Alrighty then.
I missed again.
And I do, and so you've got that. You've got the people who will they'll argue every point as well. So you'll do something and you'll want to do that, and they go, "Oh, you can't do that." You're like, "No, I can't do that exactly, but I can do this," and that's effectively the same thing. And they start to get nitpicky about everything you do, or they just start questioning everything. And yes, Andrew met a guy who got salty about the dice in the dice tray and took the dice tray away in the next round. So
I did need upper hand, Brandon. You're absolutely right.
Zach Matthews says, "Love the channel."
Excellent.
Zach, we
love
love
those
you.
sorts of comments.
We loved you and those kind of comments. So overall, I think it can be really tricky. The best thing you can do in those situations, I think, when you have somebody who's a bad player and is ruining the spirit of the game, is to just distance yourself from them. I think the best thing you can do is maybe sort of try and be nicely point out, like in the slow play example, sort of say, "Sorry, can you hurry up a bit, because we've got the chance for a third game and I'd like to play it if possible." And if they continue doing that kind of thing, I think you've just got to play the game, accept the loss, and just be the bigger person and say, "You know what, fine, you won, well done." What's this? This is why I tune in for Agents Detailed Analysis of different kinds of arseholes. We are experts on arseholes. We have been most of them at some point in our lives. So I think the best thing you can do in those situations... I am.
I'm not an expert in arseholes.
Well, there's being an expert in them, and then there's just being one of them.
That's true. It's true. Some people are both.
Fighting to all that. So I think
stay positive. That's right, David.
You've got to stay positive. You just got to stay. You just got to say, "Then, you know what? Okay, you want to win this game more than I do. Fine, whatever. There you go. You won. You won the game of little plastic toy soldiers more." And none of these things have money riding on them, or at least none of the things I've ever been to.
Well, actually, I cleared up on my performance.
Yeah. I was 20-1 on losing every single game. So bet on yourself, do all right. So yeah, it's tricky. That is the thing I like about playing this game against people I know, is they're not going to be arseholes most of the time.
Oh, I'm more of an arsehole. I'm more of an arsehole against you than I am against other people.
Some of the stuff I have to cut out. And then Simon comes along and Rob's like, "Oh, I have missed again. I'm alone with them. I'm scared for my life." Just fire dice! Stupid dice! Horrible dice. I've ruined it for us. But you can't do anything about people who are like that. You just got to move on. Just go on to the next game or something else. It can be horrible when they're in a position.
A little bit.
We have a little. Sorry. It can be a problem when you like in a tournament setting, and it can impact your chance of winning the tournament.
I mean, I haven't been in that situation.
Chance of being fine.
yeah. But I mean, I agree. I think you do turn up to, and you do it just by turning up. You buy into this social contract.
Yes,
and
I think so.
But I think. And it is. I think it's very difficult. If somebody's not upholding their part of it, it's very difficult. If you are the sort of person who likes just to play the game for a bit of fun, it's very hard to say, "Well, actually, I'm really sorry, but you're just being out of order." It's very hard to call somebody on not playing.
Because it's not very British.
Sportsmanlike.
Not very British at all.
No, indeed.
You just have to sort of sit there and you just sort of sit and think, "Well, maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's me." As I was saying, in one of the battle reports, when Simon kept rolling crits, Ron says, "You're not making any friends with that." yeah, we're not having him back. It's a fun time because there was no third game, there was no chance to stay at the top and win the glass. That kind of thing can be frustrating, and all you can take away from that is you can tell other people, "I nearly won this tournament, but the last guy I came up against was playing like a twat, and therefore I just..."
Is it a twat or an arsehole?
They're very closely related.
And enough on that.
Moving on.
Warcry.
So, yes, let's move on to the other small points of discussion we had. So someone asked earlier, is there a chance of seeing any Warcry on the channel? The answer to that, I believe, is a resounding probably.
Yes, a resounding probably. I think we wanted to get some input, I think, from you guys. A little bit.
Trogdor board game. Oh my God, I'm going to look for that. Sorry, anyway. Burninating the village. I'm going to have a look for that one. Sorry, anyway.
Somebody else has gone, Warcry! We wanted to ask the community, I think, whether you'd like us to play Warcry and whether you'd prefer us to play Warcry to Underworlds. Obviously not exclusively,
no.
But obviously we only have limited amount of game time each week.
Yep.
And we'll try and get extra out, but it's quite hard. So if we play Warcry, then you're inevitably going to get less Underworlds. And I just don't know whether that's what people want.
Yes, so do let us know. Would you be happy seeing maybe 2 games of Underworlds a month and 2 games of Warcry a month or something like that. Obviously, our Patreon supporters, that we have slipped a little, but we are getting back onto the wagon of
extra games
that are Patreon only.
Yep.
So again, we could split those up so that you would get maybe 2 Underworlds games and another Warcry game there. Possibly we might go on a bit of a spree with Warcry when it first come out. We might do a month of coverage of Warcry, something like that. What do you guys want to see? Would you sit there and go, it's not Underworlds, I'm not interested? Or are you of the opinion that I don't care as long as you crazy people record it and put it on, I watch it? Or are you a case of, I want Warcry and I don't care what else you do as long as I get Warcry? So let us know.
There you go.
Stick it in the comments. We will stick a questionnaire up online as we approach the event.
Facebook and on
Patreon and Facebook, because our Patreon supporters do get a little bit more influence, I think it's fair to say.
If you were all Patreon supporters go, actually, we're going to stop supporting you if you play Warcry.
Yes.
Then we're probably not going to play Warcry.
This is true.
However, I don't think they'll do that.
Possibly, I'd hope not, but you never know. And obviously, our $10 supporters, we always ask them the big questions, and we will be putting it to them as well. What do they want to see most? What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything, and all those kind of things? But yes, Warcry, from what we've seen of it so far,
I really like the look of it.
It looks quite good.
Yeah, I just like the bendy ruler, really.
Bendy ruler. It's not bendy though, is it? It's that plastic one with the
bendy.
Well, there's a bendy generic one, but there's like a moulded plastic version as well.
Oh, I don't know now. The one with the red and white one with the tally on it said it was bendy.
I'm sure there's another one that's not
bendy.
bendy.
Maybe there is.
I don't know.
Maybe there is. Anyway, that's really beside the point. Yeah, I really like the look of it, but then we really like the look of Kill Team. So I have a bit of trepidation about it, because Kill Team was like, oh, here's this neat compact game you can play straight out of the box. And actually you couldn't really, and then it just all got
I think
horrid.
Kill Team, they do need to work on that aspect, in that you bought Kill Team and you didn't actually have 2 full kill teams, which was just stupid.
Which I don't think it's going to happen here.
No, I think you're here to entertain bendy rulers, and all that is true. Have bendy ruler, will travel. I'm hoping this version they have learnt the lesson from that, and I do think that Kill Team came out as a game where they said loads of people have 40k armies. We want to do a small version of that, which they then expanded on because loads of people already had the models to use. I think Warcry's hopefully coming at it from the other angle, which is it's a new game, so a bit more Necromunda-ish.
A bit more Underworld as well, in the sense that you buy, as they come out, you can buy them, which is good. And if it's like that, then we'll probably buy into it. And I suppose a little bit it's going to depend. We do occasionally get review copies of things from Games Workshop. A little bit of our immediate coverage is going to depend on whether we get one. If we get one, and we're almost obliged to do something for it.
Yeah, to be honest, if they do send us a copy, it's hard to not do anything if someone sends you a £100 box for nothing. So we would definitely do something in that instance.
And if they don't, then we'll probably pick one up, but you probably won't see it till the autumn when we've had time to paint it and play it, and probably throw out some Underworlds games to keep you guys happy.
Yes.
So that's probably where we're at. So, but it seems to be most people watching at the moment.
One of the reasons we picked up Underworlds is because it fits our capabilities perfectly. We can't do AOS or 40k really, because we don't have the models, the scenery, the time to be able to do those. But Underworlds fits.
I don't even have the inclination anymore. I love this smaller. I love the smaller, shorter format games.
And we do know that Warcry is going to be a I go you go, you go, a we go system, an alternating phase. And I prefer that kind of thing because it feels more tactically flexible than 40k, which is okay, I'll sit here for 45 minutes whilst you move everything and then destroy half of my army.
Yeah. So Andrew said, and somebody else must have said somewhere, because he's agreeing with Bezzy82, it's refreshing to see new games come and go on the channel.
Somebody's just doing one different game every month.
The only problem with doing that is, and that's kind of why we did Blackstone Fortress once a month, is because that's consistent and we know the rules. The problem with doing something different every month is we've got to learn it and potentially paint the figures.
I was going to say prep models, because no one wants to see a load of bare plastic every month.
And play it well enough, because when you know what it's like when you first play a game, it takes forever.
Yeah.
And that's why we've kind of. I'd love to have the time to do a different game. I've got Wildlands I want to play. I got the Andy Chambers one with the airplanes.
Blood Red Skies or something.
Blood Red Skies. I'd love to play.
Could we ever get Andy Chambers on to show us how to play it?
Probably not.
Andy, if you're watching.
And then Warcry as well. So, but I've got the Journeys to Middle Earth I want to play as well. So we would love to do that. And as the channel grows, then hopefully you'll get
our
more
ability
time to do
may
it.
expand.
Yeah.
VJ Morph just said he bought Kill Team, he's not played it once for Warcry. It's going to be all about gameplay for me. I think we were the same with Kill Team. We bought it, we stuck a load of the scenery together. We did paint a chunk of the scenery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We played 2 intro games, I think, and that was it, because it just, by the time we got around to thinking about doing another game, they've released like the Elites version, the Arena, all of the leaders, and we were like... And the other problem that we have is that with Underworlds, it's fairly easy to get everything for Underworlds. You know, we've managed that. We've got it all. We haven't even got all of the warbands painted each, but we do have all the warbands
Don't say
painted.
never, Andy's been on a few things. I'm not sure he's going to come to our garage.
He might not come to might not come to Robin's garage.
But maybe anyway.
But the problem with things like Kill Team is, even if we did do Kill Team, we could possibly only do 1 army each.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 armies each, because of just the scale of the stuff you want. And same with, if we did Necromunda, and even with Warcry, there's a possibility that we're only going to be able to do maybe 1 or 2 warbands each. And things like some of the big channels, like mini wargaming and stuff like that, they obviously have the funds, the resources, and the bodies that they can just do all of them all the time. And we
there's
haven't
only
got
2 of us, so we've basically got to play everything, or half of everything.
Exactly.
Each.
So there's only 2 of us right now. That might change in the future, depending on how the channel grows and stuff like that, and we get possibly more resource, and we have our awesome Patreon supporters have been painting stuff for us, and I think you guys are responsible for most of
So can you make some players for us too?
Yes, yeah. Well, we have had Simon on the channel, and in the future maybe more Patreon supporters could come on the channel and play some games.
Yeah.
We do still have the problem of having the time to edit those games, but it is easier if someone comes along with a painted Warcry warband to then play a game than it is to actually get a warband painted. But I think the general overall consensus is everyone's quite happy to see some warband stuff. And if we Warcry, and if we do get Warcry, we will certainly be doing something for it. Yeah. Maybe more.
I think how much we get to play is going to depend on how customisable it is. The good thing about okay, you've got your deck to build, but the good thing about Underworlds is you basically just
pick up your warbands and that's it.
And you haven't got to go, whereas Kill Team just broke down because you had to decide what weapon they want across the 10 men or whatever. And it's going to be interesting to see. There obviously is some customisation. It'll be interesting to see how that.
I think we're going to have to just bite the bullet as well and just arm them with whatever.
Yeah,
and approach it like we always do with all our games, which is these are not optimal builds. They are not the best choices. They're just what we like looking at.
Absolutely. I still love the idea of narrative campaigns, so hopefully that will be good too. Well, I'm going to read a few of the things. They're bringing out stuff this week, aren't they? And hopefully they'll get better.
Zach says that he's an aging gamer and he likes to play the smaller games. Him and his son are just starting X-Wing, and I think that's where a lot of the market's going, because a lot of people are turning into aged gamers with kids, and they haven't got the time to spend an entire weekend. I have fond memories back when I was in my 20s, I think, where me and 7 mates, we went over to a friend's canteen of a weekend at his factory, when obviously the factory was shut, and we set up a bunch of tables, and we set up like this 20,000 point 40k battle. It took us all day to set it up one day. It took us all day the second day to play about 3 turns, and of course we had to pack it up after that because we had to get home for Monday or whatever. So, but just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I agree, Ed. Thematic and narrative teams are always more interested in when it all costs.
Playing the rule of cool is
definitely, yeah.
I mean, you should always be armed with whatever looks coolest.
That's true. That's why I had a Webbo in my very brief Kill Team thing.
I think they were pretty good though as well. I don't think they were terrible by any stretch.
No.
Now, I'm sure there was something else we wanted to discuss as well as Warcry. I'm sure there was something else on the menu, but I can't think of what it is now. So if you've got anything else, please do chuck it in the comments below or on Discord if Robin's checking it, and we can answer those questions. Otherwise, I think
there was anything on Discord.
Nobody's
attending on Discord for a while. I think everybody's over here now.
We might be running towards the end of our show today.
Whoa! How can you cope with that?
We've come down to 17 now, but we were on the heady heights of 28 at one point, which frankly is a new world record for us. And speaking of aging, under 10 underworlds for the win, definitely. Oh, it could be possibly.
Okay,
yeah.
I was going to write. I wasn't going to say anything about that.
Okay, you can leave that then. That's a secret. About that for a while. Under 10's Underworlds, I'm looking forward to. I suspect that neither of my children care enough about it.
No, my idea for winning the Grand Clash was to get my son to play. Technically, I wouldn't have won it, but I was going to be the trainer. I was going to be
just going to be behind him, massaging the shoulders.
Meredith or whatever he's called. But yeah, because he's probably got tired to build really, wicked decks, and we can find some friends to play
But
with.
you compared your deck to some of the top players, and they weren't grossly different. So I think overall it was more just inexperience.
It wasn't grossly different from the deck that I didn't take, and then I made some change. Yeah, I made some change. It was quite different from John's actually. John's has had quite different things, but it wasn't massively different from Tom's, who won loads of games.
Oh, okay.
But then I changed it to try and mitigate some of what I thought problems with it, but I just added more. So the V.
So away it goes.
Yeah.
But also there's an experience thing there as well, because neither of us had ever been to any.
No, that's true.
I think we played Simon was the only stranger that we played before we went to the Grand Clash. So we spent ages, the last year, 2 years or whatever, saying...
Rupert's just arrived. Hello, Rupert.
Hello, Rupert. Late in and late out. Sorry, guys, miss you. Catch you on the rerun. Yeah, you'll be able to see
9-year-old twin girls and win at all costs the only way I play.
There is that. But I think there was definitely an aspect of just sheer mind-numbing terror for the first game or two at the Grand Clash. Just turning up and having suddenly sit down opposite a complete stranger danger, and suddenly play this little plastic soldiers game.
And I played Moloch. It's not what
you sat down opposite Moloch.
Moloch, really.
I got Andrew. And I was like, awesome.
And then Moloch set up at the back. What's going on here?
I mean, I played Andrew in the first game. I was like, brilliant, a friendly face. I don't mind what happens. But even saying that, I was still shaking like a leaf. Like, why?
I didn't actually realise how badly I'd done in that first game, because it was a tome deck. I didn't even listen to how much glory he scored at the end, because he just had like 90 gajillion tomes on it. So the actual score was reasonably close. It wasn't that close, but it was reasonably close.
It wasn't like 50 to nothing.
But it was sort of like I say close, that's stretching it, but it wasn't too bad. But of course, he's got about 9 glory for. At the end, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
The second game was a bit closer.
I'm trying to think who else I played. I mean, I played a Moloch deck and I did really well against that. I didn't win, but I only lost by about 3 glory over the 2 games, so I take that as
Was that a tome one?
No, it was just a generic offensive Moloch deck, and he got inspiration strikes in the first round both games.
That really
and the first one he had Tome of Offerings as well. So, but in that I only lost by 1 glory, so I did pretty well. I was quite happy with that. Yeah. So board games.
Me advisor you in your deck, and I had you. That's why.
Rip pain. So, do you guys have any more questions for us you want to ask before we say goodbye? Because I think we are at the end of all our questions.
Say goodbye. Yeah, we've even got our.
I don't even want to know.
Our play school caterpillar thing here.
This is my wife. She's made it for preschool.
This is your wife.
Say hello to my wife, Dave. You're my wife now. What's that? Kill them all.
That time of year.
I think it's getting to that time of the evening as well. Yeah.
So cheers, guys. We're down to 17 people now.
We're down 17. Everyone's slowly walking away now.
Cheers, then, guys.
So we shall see you again soon. Yeah, we'll be back in another month's time.
Another month's time. I think you're on holiday. Another month. It might actually be 6 weeks because you're on holiday and I'm on holiday.
Yes, so it might be 6 weeks before we do the next live one. Hopefully by then Warcry will be out. Maybe you'll see some content on that one. I'm looking forward to seeing what Dreadfane has to bring as well.
Okay, we should have some Dreadfane information and possibly some Season 3 information by then.
Yeah, that is true.
And if we do get it, we'll do little talking head type videos. Little Thunderbird type videos. Yep. And I think that is probably that. Yep. So I think we are done. We shall say adieu and we shall see you all soon. Thank you for all tuning in. Yep.
I mean, at one point we were up to like 28 people. Woo. That was awesome. And frankly, I was loving it. And Trogdor fan. I am a Trogdor fan. Burninating the Village. Loved all of the Lone Star Ranger stuff. It was just
you my spirit
stuff.
Animal?
I might be. If your spirit animal.
More talking heads, they are very interesting.
Oh, okay. That is good to know, because we did wonder sometimes if people even give a shit, to be honest. And,
it's hard to put yourself up as an expert as well when you've been thoroughly trashed the Grand Clash.
Most of my experience is one Grand Clash coming in 80th place. I think this card is rubbish, and I wouldn't take it over in my deck. Yeah, it's hard to swing that one, isn't it? Yeah. I have to say, I would have liked to have done a little bit better with the Grand Clash, but who cares?
It doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter at all.
And the Bugman's food's quite good.
Like a big beefy arm, yes, his big beefy arm. People who don't know what Trogdor is, you have to go and look it up, because this all sounds incredibly weird otherwise. So more talking heads. We'll do a live in another 6 or so weeks.
Yeah.
And we shall hopefully be back soon with some Warcry, with some Underworlds, with more BSF coming your way, and hopefully onwards and upwards for the summer.
Yes. Have a good summer, everybody.
Oh, wait.
Or winter if you're down under.
Yes, sorry if you're down under, but then, your summers are so much better than ours.
And your winters are probably better than our summers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my cousin's in Australia and everywhere. She's like, oh, it's down to 20 today, I'm cold. 20? That's shorts weather, surely. So we shall say goodbye to you all and we shall see you soon. Bye.